was taken over by the Parks and Department from Dare County, and they came out and showed us an area in front of the Kadena Reeves Justice Center that would be to the right of the bell that was taken off the naval ship that we could use to put the monument up. So that's how we started, and then we went through the process. And this is really the last step in getting your approval before we can actually start. Now, I don't know if you know it or not, but this July, the American Legion within the Department of Texas is celebrating its 100th anniversary. And because the American Legion within the Department of Texas started here in 1919 with initial convention at the Fox Tech High School, which was the main Avenue High School, and the Gunter Hotel downtown. They are now coming back in the month of July to hold the 100th anniversary here in the American Legion. And part of that anniversary celebration, we want to dedicate this monument on the Saturday of that week with invitations going out to the state and county and city officials. Thank you.
We specifically selected a team of individuals that have had experience building items such as monuments and so forth for the city and for the county. First of all, our main contractor here is Joe Monroe, CIS. And then we also have Porter Dillard from the Dillard Architecture Group. He's done much work here before, as well as Moses Cruz. He's our structural engineer. And I think that's the last of our team that's present here this time.
Okay,
any questions for us?
Dan, we're set to go. Everything's okay?
Yes, Mr. Judge, we've met with the team, and we have confidence that they are going to accomplish the scope. We worked with Joe Monroe before. He's an excellent contractor, and Mr. Dillard, reputation precedes himself, so they vetted out all the details. We helped them locate electrical and all those other things related to the location. We just want the court's blessing to proceed.
I'll make the motion to proceed and accept.
Is it lit up? Does it have a light on?
There is a lighting in the front.
Good.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
No, the ayes have it. Thank you all very much for doing this.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Item number 55, discussion of appropriate action regarding the approval of updates to Bear County Human Resources Policy 7.101 Equal Opportunity to be effective February 27, 2018. Who is presenting this item?
Yeah.
And then we have several people signed up.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Today we're trying to get an update to our equal opportunity employment policy. It further defines it. The law allows us to further define certain groups and define sex and gender, and that's what we're doing today, is really to update our policy to avoid the discrimination. It's really to let all levels of employees know what we're not going to discriminate against here.
Say that again.
It's to let all levels of employees understand and know what we will not discriminate against here at the county. So it further defines what we already have. It further defines gender, sex, and of course the genetic information, which is a big deal as well.
We have several people signed up. Daniel, ready? Daniel, there you go. And after Daniel, Michael.
Judge, Commissioners, thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you very much for putting this on the agenda. We first approached Commissioners Court about this in 2014, about the need to update the EEO policy, to expand it, to make it more inclusive. And then as a member of CAUSA, the Community Alliance for United San Antonio, we advocated for its implementation. And thanks to Commissioner Calvert and now Commissioner Elizondo, who've got this on the agenda, we're finally able to move this forward after all this time. So I think it's really important for Bexar County to send a message of inclusivity, and especially amongst us county employees, that we are a world-class city that welcomes everybody and treats everybody with dignity and respect. And especially as we mark the 300th anniversary of Bexar County and the city of San Antonio, I think this really pushes us into the future as the second county in Texas that actually does this. Dallas County was first.
Which one? Dallas.
Dallas, yeah. Several years ago, their county commissioners updated their policy similarly. So not only in terms of, gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, but also other categories like pregnancy status, veteran status. These are all important categories to include in the policy. Thank you very much.
Okay, Michael, how do you spell it? How do you say it? Guthrie. Yeah, come on up.
Thank you for your time today. Everyone deserves dignity and respect, just like Dan said. However, the lower road is the easier road to take. And it leads, the wrong road, but it leads to depravity, suffering, and oftentimes it's the wrong road to take. So we must, as a county, choose the higher road, not the lower road. By making this special definition, I believe we are going backwards. Why are the municipal entities choosing to take and to promote the lower road? Have you ever heard of an entity that promotes the lower road? Just because something is legal does not mean that it should be promoted. It doesn't mean that it is right. As an example, alcohol. It's legal, but we don't go around making certain that we're promoting alcoholism anywhere. As a matter of fact, Kevin, you had a spout in the past, and I commend you. I commend you for your humility and the way you handled that. I don't see you promoting alcoholism anywhere. So what's the difference here? The difference here is that we're talking about people. So in the area of cohabitation, whether it be heterosexual or homosexual, the county is literally promoting cohabitation over the commitment of marriage. So it leads to, when did the county get into the business of not just condoning something like this, but the actual promotion of unhealthy lifestyle benefits or unhealthy lifestyles that lead to a life of deprivation, hardship, and sometimes deep suffering? The county also has an equal employment opportunity in place already. Why is it necessary to go back and do this? Everyone deserves respect and dignity. The county needs to be in the business of promoting healthy marriages, men and women, raising families, contributing to the long-term domestic prosperity of this county, does it not? You have a fiduciary responsibility leading this county, and as such, we've got to know, hey, how much is this going to cost? By the very definition, promoting cohabitation is in lieu of that marriage commitment that I spoke about. So we have, I understand, 60-plus employees that qualify for this. When are we going to find out exactly what that costs us? Because the county is always talking about we need to raise taxes, but we don't know what this costs. The life expectancy of a homosexual man, I don't know about women, but a man leading an active homosexual lifestyle is 20 years less than a heterosexual lifestyle. Yet the company you cite is USAA. They're doing a great job redoing their stuff. What I just told you about life expectancy, they know. And what's unfortunate about USAA is they're not telling the LGBT community the truth. They're just tucking it away. As far as looking at today, you have 5 ceremonial good things happening here today that promoted goodness and recognition of citizens that have worked hard and taken the higher road. So the question is, why are you choosing to take the lower road here when we just recognize 5 organizations of taking the higher road? This is something we have to really think about. This is something that really strikes at the core. So ask yourself, why the lower road, not the higher road? Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. We've got Nicole Hutchins. Nicole.
I'm trying to make sure what time it is. Good morning. My name is Nicole Hudgens, and I'm the policy analyst for Texas Values. We're the largest statewide organization that focuses on faith, family, and freedom. And thank you so much for allowing me to take the time to speak. I wanted to address item 55 because I think it's important that this commission knows that this is actually one of the most controversial issues that has happened in our state and in our nation. And the way it looks is as if this measure is trying to be fast-tracked very quickly without a lot of public debate. And it's important that that discussion happens, and it happens out in the open, and that it's long and that it's lengthy, because the implications of these policies have led to lawsuits and a very large debate that's happening on a national perspective. Again, it's one of the most controversial issues in the state. And even when you look at how these issues have played out, when voters have a say on this issue, look at Houston. They voted down a similar measure, 61-39, not too long ago. So it's important that you make sure your citizens are involved with this discussion and not fast track it. 2, this measure doesn't align with state law. Essentially what you're doing is creating a new type of protected classes that is not in state law. We've also seen at the federal level where officials have tried to redefine law or congressional law, federal law in that case. They've been sued, and the Trump administration has withdrawn those redefinitions. You can't redefine federal law simply because you think it's a good idea. It's also important to understand that these types of policies have been used multiple times to put girls and women in vulnerable situations. When you create a protected class for gender identity, you're saying that anyone who identifies as the opposite sex has access to showers, locker rooms, and bathrooms. And being that this is in the county, it's going to be public facilities. If a private business were to do that, that'd be one thing. But you're talking about a government entity trying to bypass state law and put girls in vulnerable situations. So for these reasons, I urge you to vote this measure down, or to at least delay it to have a very public and robust discussion. As I've said, this issue is being litigated in the state and at the federal level. So I would urge you to at least delay, if not completely reject the measure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jack Finger.
Judge Wolf and other members of the Bexar County Commissioners Court, my name is Jack M. Finger. I'm holding this sign, "Stop the Evil, No Special Rights." Likewise, the backside. Today, what you're doing, you're actually going to do that. You're planning on giving special rights to homosexuals. That's a bad idea. You know it's a bad idea. Sexual orientation, one of the protected classes you're planning on putting into this county's non-discrimination policy. That can include a lot of things. A person who, say, quote, "I have pedophilic tendencies," unquote, and he's qualified to work as a daycare center worker, and he wants to apply for a county daycare job dealing with kids run by in a center run by the county. Are you going to stop him? Legally, you won't be able to if you pass this new policy here. For real. I mean, there's all kinds of examples of this terrible thing that you are about to do. I guess the thing I really am upset about is the fact that this is done in such a sneaky manner. Yes. For one thing, look at the language. It says the updates. Approval of updates. Who could be against approval of updates to what? Equal employment. Who could be against equal employment? Now, what would is that supposed to mean to the average citizen? And when you put it out, supposedly 3 days before your meeting here, when was that? Friday afternoon,
when the offices are about to close. 2 of those 3 days are on the weekend, also aren't open. Those of us who want to find the, say, the backup documents on this, confirm it, we only had 1 day. And so Monday, I come by, Monday morning, what happens? The computers are down. Sorry, Jack. 1 p.m. we might have it ready for you. I come back 1 p.m. 1 p.m. we confirm our worst fears. Less than 24 hours before you make your monumental decision here. I'm sorry, that stinks. This should have had a public debate of something as large as this. But of course, obviously you do not want a public debate. You don't want any, you want this hidden. You want this, nobody to see the light of day on this so you can just sail it right on through. Like I say, that smells. We thought you were going to do a better job as dealing with transparency for us, the citizens, but you're not doing that. Obviously, this is wrong. You claim to be Christians who know the difference between right and wrong, good and evil. What are you doing here? Anyway, I implore you to stop this thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Patrick Gondolin.
Good morning, County Judge, County Commissioners. Several of you have long public service records, and while we appreciate your dedication to public service, this is an opportunity for you to step in the wrong direction or step in the right direction. Several of you claim to be Catholic. So one of you claims to be Baptist, a lifelong Baptist. I commend you. I want to read to you, this is from the Catechism of the Catholic Church, the magisterial teaching of the Church, which goes right along with the Bible. This paragraph 2210, the family must be helped and defended by appropriate social measures where families cannot fulfill their responsibilities. Other social bodies have the duty of helping them and of supporting the institution of the family. Following the principle of subsidiarity, larger communities, i.e. Bexar County Commissioners Court, should take care not to usurp the family's prerogatives and interfere in its life. You're about to do that here. The sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression policy attacks the family, undermines marriage, which is the bedrock of society. 4 years ago, County Judge Nelson Wolf proposed Employee Plus One to the county's domestic partner benefits. About this time, after the Stonewall Democrats candidate forum, after a promise to circumvent Texas state law, which did circumvent Texas state law, didn't call it domestic partner benefits, but called it Employee Plus One. We share with you then the dangers of cohabitation, whether it's heterosexual or homosexual cohabitation. Statistics, evidence shows that people who live together before marriage have a 15% greater likelihood of civil divorce. It takes somebody from 40% potential civil divorce rate to over 55% civil divorce rate. It's not good for society. You're promoting something that it undermines marriage. Then we share with you that the city of San Antonio in Bexar County was at the time #1 in syphilis case rates. The 92% of all syphilis case rates are caused by male sex with male. This is from the CDC. This is evidence showing you that these kind of lifestyles are not healthy. And the Bexar County Commissioners Court nor any political community should be in the business of promoting unnatural, unhealthy lifestyles. Are we going to tell them not to do it? No. They have free will. But it's different when you're using taxpayer dollars to promote evil, in this case, something that's very unhealthy for them. Mike Knufke mentioned the addiction part of this. We don't promote addictions, and this is a very addictive lifestyle. And we have to help them, not promote this kind of disordered behavior that leads to all sorts of depravity and unhealthiness. It is true, males engaged in homosexual lifestyles have a 20-year shorter lifespan. Evidence shows that is not healthy for people to engage in this kind of lifestyle, as it is not healthy to engage in any type of addictive lifestyle. So, on item number 55, in which you're considering to expand the equal employment opportunity policy that includes sexual orientation, gender identity, and sexual expression, I encourage you to vote no, to do the right thing with taxpayers' dollars, to do the right thing by marriage, to do the right thing by families. This city, over 300 years ago, established and set upon Christian principles. Father Anthony Marhill came and established Mission San Jose, the queen of all the missions. And in doing that, he educated the natives, brought them together, taught them how to cultivate, to live as a family, to live in peace. We celebrate that. That's, a matter of fact, that's one of the reasons why we're a UNESCO recognized mission that you alluded to earlier, Tom Galver. So, is that if that's important to you, then why are we dismissing the very foundation that our city was based upon? Not 100 yards, but about 100 yards from here, in San Fernando Cathedral is the center of the city of San Antonio, the heart of San Antonio. And yet, just 100 yards away, you're going to make a decision that undermines marriage, that attacks a family, and in future cases can indeed have a Christian persecuted for their faith, in which somebody claims discrimination, that they will not accept a certain lifestyle that is unnatural and unhealthy, and that yet they can be attacked by it. This is an attack on religious freedom as well. It's imperative, essential to the very fabric of our society, to the long-term domestic prosperity of our society and our county, that you vote no on this. I appreciate your attention. I appreciate your public service. And I appreciate you doing the right thing and voting no against item number 55. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Any further discussion? Good, go ahead. Commissioner Rowe.
You know, most of these things are as much about political pandering and the guys protecting people as much as anything else. Whether it's a bathroom bill to protect somebody on one side of the aisle, or it's about trying to itemize every single demographic out there in the goal of protecting people. We've all got our individual personal beliefs, and that's one of the great things about our country is we're allowed to have all those personal beliefs. And we're allowed to exercise them as we see fit. And I don't like it when our government tries to determine what it is we should believe or not believe. Now, in my office we have a saying, begin with the ideal and work back to the real. You try to list or define every different category. By definition, you're discriminating against any category you fail to list, which is essentially what we may do today. Why can't we just say, don't discriminate? It sure be nice to get to that point. Unfortunately, as a society, I don't think we're there yet. And that makes it somewhat incumbent upon those of us in elected position to try to make the best decisions we can. I don't like this because I think it's more about political pandering than I think it is anything else. Like I said, work back to the real. Try to do the most right thing. I also don't like it when one level of government decides that it's smarter than another level of government and tries to offer more protections that are already protected. We need to stay in our lane, so to speak, and do what it is that we're supposed to do. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't, as a political body, voice our opinions, especially to those other levels of government. Our job is to serve all the people. I don't care what your beliefs are. And our job is to do that to the best of our ability. And while I might personally disagree with you, it's your prerogative, just as it's my prerogative to disagree or agree with whatever your opinion is. But part of my job is to represent all the people, not just some of the people. And while I don't agree that this body should be delving into what is already federally mandated, I do understand the intent. And I agree with the intent to try to provide as much protection as possible. So I'll end up voting for this, just like I voted for +1 in 2014. I don't care what your personal lifestyle is. I care that you contribute to our country. And part of my job is to serve all of you, not just the ones I agree with. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Commissioner?
Thank you, Judge. You know, I decided to go into an academic vocation focused in conflict and conflict resolution because I grew up knowing that man's most difficult thing to do on this earth is to live side by side with someone who is different than him or her. That's why we have wars. That's why we get offended over personal conflicts. That's why we have so many issues amongst individuals. And in learning about bringing people together, it's important to understand both sides' experience. On one hand of this issue, we have a history and a legacy that people need to understand. The reason the Supreme Court, our highest judicial body, delineates with respect to civil rights, with respect to rights over sexual orientation, with respect to gender, with respect to disability, is not because of an ideal of the way things are, but a factual reality that there is proof of discrimination based upon race, based upon gender, based upon sexual orientation, based upon disability. There is proof. And so, there are delineations in the law to protect everyone. Because while the law says it's supposed to protect everyone, there are those with the authority over the law that do not. And so there must be a pivot point by which action in our judicial process can be maintained. And regardless of what we believe personally, now sexual orientation and discrimination and the fact that the country, the Supreme Court, the highest court of the land, has said it will uphold equal rights, equal justice for individuals who choose or who are born with sexual preferences. And so we're at a point where the county must ensure it's in compliance with the highest court in the land. I take great offense to a lot of the obfuscation of the issues here. You know, in Europe, the issue of bathroom bills is really irrelevant because most of the bathrooms are unisex and the door is to the floor. So if the lieutenant governor and this legislature want to do something about bathrooms, we can make them all unisex and simply put a door to the floor. And we wouldn't have to deal with this issue anymore.
You're obviously not a father.
We'd have it
Of
solved.
girls.
It's not really much of an issue. I'm all for it. I'll pay for the extra panels of wood.
Sure you
We'll
would.
make sure that we get that implemented. But
Other people's money.
today, we are offering language in our policy. It's not costing. I've always, speaking of money, I've always thought about, who is funding a lot of this effort. And I've always had my thoughts about some in the corporate extremist funding from insurance companies, but we do see that the majority of mainstream insurance companies know that health care covered provisions amongst families and people who cohabitate is very important because access to health care, access to medicine is a very it ends up saving your county and saving your insurance companies. If people are covered with health benefits, not the opposite. I think most heterosexuals would argue that they have done a good enough job with a 1 in 2 divorce rate of hurting the institution of marriage without homosexuals doing anything. 1 in 2 people are getting divorced in the heterosexual community, and that is what it is. And I don't think homosexuality had anything to do with it. That's just my
Contraception had everything
opinion.
to do with it. Same mentality.
I think as a Christian, Reverend Dr. Michael Eric Dyson taught me a long time ago that when you talk about discriminating against folks because of their sexual orientation, what you are doing is showing the limits of God's love. And who are you to limit God's love? The Jesus that I know is the Jesus that reached out to the ones who were socially outcasts, who were discriminated against. The prostitute, the leper, the tax collector who was greedy, the people who were most broken and afflicted. And I am a turn the table in the temples kind of Christian. We should have a Bible study, some of us who came here today, on Pharisees and Sadducees.
Absolutely.
Matter of fact, it might be a series that I'd be happy to sit down with my brothers and sisters in Christ
And I'll take you up on that.
and go through. We're here to turn the page on discrimination against people who have been proven. I don't know who has ever experienced what someone who is homosexual, gay, bisexual, transgender has ever experienced with respect to housing discrimination, with respect to police brutality, with respect to
Nothing like the
employment.
black community.
There are many areas that people face who are different than us and have a different experience than us. And the God that I know walks with them and holds their hand and loves them. And so I just want to thank my colleagues for bringing this issue. I guess I'm the millennial here. We some of us we don't really understand what this is doing when there are so many other issues that have torn at our fabric. The state already recognizes cohabitation, common law marriage. Common law marriage. So I don't think this is going to usurp the issue. I'm in a 4-week Bible study at Revolution Church on marriage, sex, and relationships. We're all trying to work it out. But this is about equal protection under the law and whether or not this county is going to be consistent with it. So I'm very supportive, Judge and Commissioner, of that protection because the Supreme Court has said it's time for us to move forward for all. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Call for the question, Judge.
All right, let me make just a couple of questions and a couple of comments and then we will vote. I thought we had moved beyond this issue. I thought this nation was unified in how we looked at people who had different sexual preferences. The marriage law between those of the same sex been upheld by the Supreme Court. There's not been any more divisive controversy at the federal level. I thought we moved beyond this. I thought our nation was healing, but apparently I'm wrong. When we characterize those that have a different sexual preference than heterosexual, I heard the words today that they're evil, depravity,
Not right.
that
Lifestyle.
if there's some kind of beyond a normal human like you and I. They have feelings, just as you and I do. They're part of this country. They sacrificed their lives in the military. The public has understood that.
Military's not for experimentation.
That Dallas County Sheriff was elected, is the correct word, lesbian. The Houston mayor also, previous Houston mayor also was elected, who had the same sexual preference. So when we started this policy, whatever it was, 3-4 years ago, on +1, yeah, it was controversial then. But I really thought we had moved beyond that. This is not denigrating a marriage between heterosexuals. It's just saying that other people have other choices. Cohabitation, even among a woman and a man, is pretty normal today. In fact, I have one of my sons who's lived with his loved lady for 10 years now. And they don't want the state to intervene in their love relationship. They're perfectly happy without having the state to tell them what marriage is. They have a marriage, but they have a marriage based on their understanding of it. This just simply puts everybody in the same category that we're not going to discriminate against anybody in our employment, that regardless of what their preferences would be. I must tell you, when you say evil and depravity, I've seen evil and depravity among heterosexual marriages. In fact, I see it every year. We take away some 2,000 children from the heterosexual marriages, or went through divorces, whatever they went through, where the parents have been neglectful and harmful to that child. So bad things happen regardless of somebody's sexual preferences. So I'm glad that Commissioner Elizondo brought this up and just clarifying our policy that ties in with the +1 that we did several years ago. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor will say aye. Those no. The ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, we'll move to item number 56, adoption of discussion and appropriate action regarding adoption of a healthy vending policy. Who's doing this?
Mary, do you want to refer to
Judge Wolf, Commissioners, my name is Sarah Muhammad Ali with the American Heart Association here in Bexar County. On behalf of thousands of our volunteers who live and work in Bexar County, we are 100% in support of Bexar County adopting the Healthy Vending Resolution. Obesity and poor nutrition contribute to high rates of heart disease, diabetes, and other diet-related chronic diseases, which diminish Bexar County residents' quality of life. Your action today to adopt a healthy vending policy will help address this by ensuring access to healthier options and will help create a more supportive food environment. For all Bexar County employees and visitors to county property, by offering healthier options, you're giving your workers and visitors the opportunity to make a healthy choice. We want to thank Commissioner Tommy Calver and his Chief of Staff, Amy Putney, Thomas Guevara, Roxanne Meow, Bexar County procurement staff, and all who are involved in supporting healthy vending for Bexar County. And we would like to thank Judge Wolf and the entire Commissioner's Court for your continued support and leadership on important efforts like this to improve the health and quality of life for all Bexar County. Thank you.
Commissioner, you want to add anything else to it? I think it's a great policy.
It's just important that we promote health, and you know, we may need to visit. But
Forget the last decision.
I had the unfortunate visit of the University Health System this week, and maybe we need to visit that with George sometime too. I think there's some improvements that could happen.
We got to get it.
Yeah, there's some improvements that could happen with food. But anyway, I'll move adoption of a healthy vending policy.
Motion, got a second? Motion second, all those in favor say aye. No, the ayes have it. Item 57, discussion and appropriate action regarding approval of resolution to support the efforts of the Alamo area NPOs, designating 2 lanes and I-35 expansion for autonomous street cars.
Judge, real quickly, just to kind of set the stage for this. Obviously, the federal government is talking about doing some sort of infrastructure bill. And when you look at that, there are a number of things within it, but when you bring it back down to the local or regional level, generally when these bills pass, they pass along the lines of, well, okay, if you've got a shovel-ready project, you're good to go. Well, we've had a shovel-ready project in the expansion of 35 for a number of years now between here and Austin. It's currently in our NPO plan as the expansion of 4 managed toll lanes, 2 in each direction. One of the things that's being proposed in the federal legislation is projects that would fall underneath the innovative title. Today,